رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي وقل ربي زدني علما وارزقني فهما آمين يا رب العالمين. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for the session titled Marriage and Tawakkul, Readiness and Trusting Allah's Timing. Now, marriage is a topic many of us think about, whether we're actively preparing, feeling unsure, or simply reflecting on what readiness truly means. This session is not about rushing or checking boxes, but about grounding ourselves spiritually, emotionally, and practically, while learning how to trust Allah's time, even when timing feels unclear. In a world filled with pressure, expectations, and comparison, today's discussion invites us to slow down, reflect, and reconnect marriage to sabr and tawakkul in alignment with this year's Muqtamar theme, grounded in patience, thriving with trust. We're honored to be joined today by Chaplain Sakinah Alhabshi. Chaplain Sakinah holds a master's in Islamic studies and in a religious chaplaincy from the Graduate Theological Union in Berkeley, and is beginning her doctoral studies in the same field. She completed a 2-year clinical pastoral education residency and fellowship at Stanford Hospital during the pandemic. Prior to chaplaincy, she earned a degree in civil environmental engineering from Northwestern University and spent a decade working at Petronas. Alongside her professional career, she pursued Islamic education through formal studies and traditional ijazat across Yemen, Indonesia, and Malaysia. Chaplain Sakinah currently serves as a hospital chaplain at St. Luke's Health Network and a community chaplain at Respect Mosque, Bethlehem. She is also a board member at Ziyara Spiritual Care and an advisor to several educational institutions. And alhamdulillah, we're grateful for her depth of experience across faith, professional life, and spiritual care, and we're honored to have her guide us in today's session. And before we begin, I'd just like to say that questions will be taken at the end, inshallah. And I will now turn it over to Chaplain Sakinah.
Alhamdulillah. Is this as loud as her mic, or is the other one better? Someone? Okay. Okay. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salam ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And welcome everyone. We have 1 hour. I was kind of hoping it was an hour and a half, but it's an hour. So I'm going to go a little bit faster. Some of you already attended the early morning session. For those of you who missed it, we talked a little bit about how understanding the process of sabr and tawakkul, and how sabr and tawakkul does not mean sitting around and doing nothing, but it is engaging in our faith, engaging in our iman, and taking action, and working inside spiritually on that sabr and tawakkul with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for today, I actually want to go into a little bit more the practical application and what might be beneficial for you in this process. We will take questions at the end, but I think some of you who just came in, you can scan this QR code, you can look at the questions that are already there and vote, or you have your own questions, you can add to them. And there's also papers going around if you prefer to write down on paper. But we only have 1 hour, so I know when we want to do questions, we might need another special session. I am available tonight. We can have another sideline and meet outside of this time if it doesn't work, all of it today, inshallah. So, what's our goal when we're thinking of marriage? How many of you here already have a candidate and are kind of like serious about the process of marriage, if you don't mind sharing? How many of you here are single, no candidate, just like, okay, maybe sometime in the future this is something I might be interested in? Supposed to be. How many of you here are already married? Many newlyweds, young weds? Oh, the baby, yes, okay. We have a baby, she's our youngest participant. Turn your head. Alright, so we're here with various levels of our life and experience, and that's perfect. And our goal, or the goal that I'm inviting us to share, is that we want to be able to, inshallah, nurture resilient, compassionate, loving marriages that's grounded in our faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that those then becomes our family, becomes a form of sadaqah jariyah also, and becomes a way that we can enjoy life. Because if you are in a peaceful home and peaceful marriage, life can really feel like a bit of a bit of Jannah in dunya. If you are in a non-peaceful, stressful home, marriage, when you come back, you feel like you're walking on eggshells. It's horrible. It can really feel like a piece of Jahannam in dunya. And I'll share personally also, I've been married before. In Malaysia, I was married and then I've gone through divorce. I've gone through some variations of abuse. I also counsel a lot of people through this kind of situations. I got remarried in my 40s. I'm 45 now. I just got remarried about 4 years ago. My husband is 50. I've got 3 beautiful stepsons who are all teenage and about your age as well. And so there's hope, even for those of us who might feel like, astaghfirullah, maybe in Jannah, I guess the happiness will come. But there is that happiness in dunya also, inshallah. And I think the Mu'tamar also helped me. A lot of people in Mu'tamar, the first Mu'tamar I attended, a lot of people helped make dua for me to find a good husband in the US so that I don't move back to Malaysia. MashaAllah, you all do dua mustajab. Like that year, I was introduced to a Turkish brother who was teaching in Pennsylvania, and we got married within a few months, and I moved from California to Pennsylvania, and I'm not moving back to Malaysia, so anyway, the other part of this is that we want to be able to live according to the guidance that has been given by Rasulullah SAW and our Rabb who loves us, our Rabb who wants us to be in relationships that have mawaddah, rahmah, and sakinah. I don't have to teach all of you this. You know, every wedding invitation card that you see will have that ayat from Surah Al-Rum, all the marriage songs and everything. But kind of reflect on it as a foundation and find your own relationship with those verses and those ahadith. And remember that when Rasulullah SAW says that the best of you are the best to your families and that I am the best of you to my families. We want to be people like that, and we also want to be on the receiving end of partners who are like that, right? Everybody wants a partner who is nice and kind and wonderful, not just to you, but to your loved ones, to your family, to your parents. And so we also want to be people like that. May Allah make it easy for us, subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah make it easy for us to be people like that also with our families and our in-laws and everything else as we grow. And so we are here also because you are also living another verse that Allah says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. So you're not married, many of you, or you're new to the process, and you're here to learn, and you're here to get ideas, and you're here to learn and share advice with each other. We're here to listen to people who've experienced it once or twice or thrice, who may teach about it, talk about it. So I also ask that Allah grant us the intention that we are here to seek knowledge and that Allah make it easy for all of you. Ameen. So, coming back to a little bit of this morning's topic too. This isn't about the outcome. This is about the process. This is not about the outcome. This is about the process. I'll say it again. It's not about the outcome. It's about the process. And that is true for everything in our life. You can say you're doing a degree, you're going to get the degree, and you're going to go do something with the degree. You don't know you're going to live after next week. You don't know you're going to finish the degree. You don't know you're going to change the degree. You're going to like to do something else. But what are you doing in the process itself that is your ibadah? What are you doing in the process itself that is your tazkiyatun nafs, that is helping you to clean your heart, that is helping you to be a better person, that is helping you to learn and grow mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of that jazz. So if you're not able to develop from that process and enjoy the process, inshallah, then what is the outcome? And even if you get the outcome that we think we want, we all know, sometimes you get something and we're like, oh, actually I didn't really want it. Or you get something and it's like, oh, actually, turns out this is not a good match after all. Or you get something else you don't get. But the point is we want to focus on the process, so it's not in our hands the outcome anyway, it's in Allah's hands. We know that. However, we are responsible and accountable for the decisions that we make in the process. So in this process, I've put like the main areas. I like the M theme. So there's the meeting someone, there's the making decisions, another M. There's the marrying process, what's involved, the nikah, the walima, and all of that. And then there's the marriage matters and the marriage concerns and stuff like that also. And it's not just a linear cycle, because it could happen multiple times, right? That's why there's also S under meeting someone or someone's making decision or decisions, because you might get to know somebody and then, okay, it doesn't quite work out, you get to know somebody else, okay, still doesn't quite work out, okay, then your auntie introduces you to someone, it doesn't quite, so it could be you're meeting many people over a period of a few years or a few months. And then same thing with the decisions. Maybe you've already thought, you have to make many decisions, right? Do I want to continue seeing the person? Do I not? Do I want to introduce this person to my parents? Do I want to say yes, that my friend wants to introduce me to someone? Do I want to get engaged with this person? Am I ready? Not ready? So all of these are decisions. Making lots of decisions in this whole process. So how can we maximize, in a way, the reward and then the ibadah in that decision-making process, in the process of meeting someone? What are the ways that we are meeting people? Do the ways that we meet people grant us Allah's barakah and Allah's rida, Allah's pleasure? Or is it granting us Allah's anger and upsetness? And is it hurting us when we're doing things that we know we shouldn't be doing, in the category of meeting someone or getting to know someone or getting too close physically, emotionally, and whatnot? And in the decision-making process, are we following the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's model and guidance? Are we making istishara? Are we sharing and getting advice from our friends, from our parents, from people who know? Or are we just secretly trying to like make all these decisions ourselves and based on, oh, I think I'm in love with this person so much, I don't think anybody else will like him, so I don't really want to talk to many people about it, I just want to continue on. So a lot of things may surface, and some of it we might not even realize about yourself until you're in the process, because it might only surface in that situation. And then the marrying process itself. If you now decide, okay, this is the person, okay, what is it? Do we have engagement, no engagement? How long is the engagement? When does he meet my extended family, my aunts, uncle, in-laws, and when do I bring her to see, I don't know, different loved ones and people who want to meet the person? How big nikah, how big walima, how much money to spend, where, here. So all of those are also part of the process, and what can we decide, inshallah, that will have the most barakah and Allah be pleased with us in the process. And then the last thing to consider, or sort of like not really the last, I say, it could be a cycle. Once you're in the marriage, what are the main issues that tend to surface? These are things and topics that are backed by evidence. If you want to see evidence, there's a lot of research that shows that relationships or marriages that break down, and most of it is due to, I like the letter M's again, right? Either financial issues, or the mating, sexual intimacy issues, misunderstanding issues, miscommunication issues, and then ultimately it could lead to a bigger misalignment where you end up separated or divorced. So, inshallah, we're here also to be able to prepare better so that we are able to minimize the concerns of the matters in the marriage itself. Since today's session is more focusing on the premarital, I'm not going to go into the detail of what happens in the marriage part, but I just want to show you that what's there, and then we'll come back to what can we do in the premarital stage or in the early marriage stage or the engagement stage, inshallah, so that we are reduced. You're not going to be able to not have any of these issues. Even Rasulullah and Khadija, Rasulullah and Aisha and Hafsa and our prophets, our beloved companions, we have many ahadith that share what was going on in their households. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah for that. So we see that, okay, arguments happen, even with the Nabi. Aisha anha threw a plate on the ground and broke it in front of the Sahaba. If people have not heard that story, she was upset, she threw a plate down, it broke. Rasulullah was with other companions. Did he yell at her? No. He just said, hi, your mother's a little bit upset now. addressing the companions, he picked up the plate. And then later they had a conversation about it. So if that can happen in Rasulullah household, apalagi kita, we are going to have some of these issues for sure. But it's just how resilient, inshallah, we'll be, how compassionate we can be, and how we take them as lessons for growth as we continue in our marriage, in our life. So these premarital challenges that we want to focus on today, often they are kind of rushed over, or it could be something that's not really discussed, or it could be people are scared to even bring it up sometimes because, like, no, we shouldn't really talk about money because, aib lah, with that family, we shouldn't, okay. But the issue is how to have conversations about these important things because they will surface. It's not to ignore them or brush them under the carpet. It's not to say, oh, but we get along fine, we communicate so well. Okay, but you've been like hanging out and talking about regular things in college or whatever. You're not like having conversations about your deeper values. And maybe you don't even know that of yourself. So a lot of the preparation part is also getting to know you. What are your red flags for yourself? What are your boundaries? What are your green flags for yourself? What's more important to you? I've had people, for example, couples who argue about having friends over to the house because on one hand, the spouse, the wife, values privacy and also has a bit of high anxiety. So when people come over to the house, she's okay with it, but number one, she wants to know really far in advance. Number two, she'll spend so much time and energy making the house look nice. So they can't have like last minute guests. But she values the social connection, usually outside. But in her own home, she feels that's more like a private space. Meanwhile, the husband is valuing the social connection more than, say, having things to be perfect when the guests come. Like, it's okay, the guests come, it's not so clean, that's fine. I want them to come and we can hang out. And you don't have to cook so many things. You can just serve water and biscuit, that's fine. He values the social part of it more. The wife, in that situation, and this is an actual couple, values, no, I want the guests to have a good, full hospitality and take care of them well, so I need time to make sure I can plan ahead. So eventually it kind of causes like a tension, right? Even though there's some similar values, but you need to also know where are your priorities for some things and what might be your partner's priorities for some things. And of course, you can't know all these things before you get married, but it's important to know for yourself, okay, I value money to be spent on education. I don't really like spending money on stuff, for example. And then you have a partner who's like, I love spending money on stuff. And I don't see that's an issue. And I like buying you stuff. Okay, but you're like, I don't even really like stuff. Can you not buy me stuff? Can you buy me like, a master's degree tuition or something? So even things like that, that can be cause of tension. And then the husband's thinking like, no, but I want to spend money on you. But I want to get you something else. But I don't want a handbag. I don't want a diamond ring. I want something else. So in my course that I teach on premarital stuff, we do a lot of conversations around love languages and things like that as well. That's important for you to know even before you get in marriage. So what are ways that you are following that ayat in the Quran? You can look for coaching, mentoring, which some of you are doing now in a way to do the matrimonial sessions and all of that. You can take courses, you can study from people. You can do a combination of attending like bigger courses and programs, attending like specific courses. I'm going to share with you some options. You can do private coaching and mentoring for yourself, for you and a potential candidate. I do that also, and I have also other people who I can recommend to you if you want to sign up for like specifically premarital coaching. And I recommend things like that for everyone. I personally, even in my 40s and my husband is 50, we went for premarital coaching. We had 3 full sessions that was private, just us and our coach. 3 or 4 intensive sessions, like 2-3 hours, 2-3 hours, 2-3 hours with our coach. And we talked about things from our divorce, our previous marriage. We talked about values, like what I talked about. We talked about family matters, stepchildren, in-laws. So a lot of things that, even if I consider myself a professional communicator and a counselor, ustazah, whatever, but in your own relationship, it's different when you have a professional that's able to guide you and support you. So I'm not just saying, oh, you all should do this. No, I went through it as well, and I recommend it for people of whatever age and all of that. So, because of all of these topics that often come up, I've spent the last year or so trying very hard to develop a course that I feel feeds and responds to a lot of these concerns that have been shared in Muktamar and also in the community in general. So I want to share with you about the course. So today, in a way, you're getting a bit of time. We only have an hour. We'll do some conversations and some Q&A and some basic information. You have other sessions on matrimonial as well. And then, inshallah, if you'd like, I suggest you do sign up for some of these courses. Even if it's not my course, it doesn't matter. There are other good ones out there with Suhbah. Those of you who might be in Texas, the Suhbah Institute, who has online courses. But just take a look at it. There's not very many options actually for marital courses that have modules. And some of them are recordings, so you don't get a live interaction. So depending on the way you learn, I think you benefit also from a live interaction. The course that I've been developing this last 1 year, we have 4 faculty members. Dr. Lindsay is a white American Muslim. She converted to Islam and embraced Islam when she was 18 years old. She's an educator, she's a counselor. Her PhD research was on Imam Ghazali and compassion and love. She's married to a Turkish brother, so she's in an intercultural marriage and an interreligious marriage because her family, many of them are still Christian. So one of our modules in our marriage course is addressing specifically intercultural marriages and interreligious marriages. Because especially in this day and age and your generation and beyond, there's going to be more and more of that. It's not just Indonesian marrying Indonesian, Malaysian marrying Malaysian. Many of you in the room I know are probably going to end up in multicultural, multi-religious marriages. So we have specifically modules that address that. We have Chaplain Chaplain Kaiser. Some of you who are from New Jersey might know Chaplain Kaiser. He's the chaplain at Rutgers University, and he's done marriage coaching also for many, many years. And I'm the director of the course, inshallah. We've done 2 series. And if I could, if we do a matrimonial session where we can do it all here, that would be great too. We spend 16 hours. 16 hours, and we do it over 4 Saturdays. So each module is 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours. So today, what we're kind of trying to do today is having 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. But in reality, each of those modules hours over 4 Saturdays. So 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Time for 4 Saturdays. You sign up for one program. The next one, inshallah, we're going to maybe giving a discount or something like that, inshallah. But I think these are all important things to consider even now, as you are, maybe you're starting to meet people, then you might want to reflect on your own, what are your values, what is your vision as a husband, as a wife, as the leader of the family. Start to have those conversations with yourself. Knowing your own self, how are you expressing your love and appreciation? What kind of person are you? Are you more of a physical touch, hey, hey, kind of physical person? Are you more... I should check, because you might not be a hey, hey person. Are you more of a person who needs verbal affirmation and you appreciate when your parents say, good job, and your teachers saying, I really appreciate the essay you submitted and that verbal affirmation is important to you? Are you more of somebody who is an acts of service kind of person, where you enjoy helping people physically, you enjoy doing ibadat and volunteering and service-oriented stuff? That's how you show your love, that's how you show your appreciation. So usually that's also how you like to receive it. And those are important things to know of yourself before you get into a relationship, and also in the relationship, what is your matching or not matching languages and how you can be supportive of each other. And also things like communication. We talk a lot about communication. One example I always share is also like with my husband, when we are having like an argument about something, his communication style with conflict is like, I want to keep talking about it right now until we resolve it right now. And my style is like, okay, we're having this intense argument about something. I need time to think. I need time to absorb how I feel. I know my mouth is going to say something that I regret if I just like go right now. Give me a few hours or give me overnight, let me sleep on it, and then tomorrow let's talk about it again. So we've had to have conversations where he feels assured that, no, I'm not just angry with you, I need the time, and I'm not just angry with you and ignoring you. I need that time to be able to reflect when I'm in conflict or having an argument, and then I can respond better and I can think about it better. It's nothing personal about you, but you also need to understand that and not, jangan ambil hati, like, why am I ignoring you? I said, no, I'm not ignoring you, but we've had that conversation a few times, so now he knows. He's like, do you need time for this one, or can we discuss it straight away? And I'm like, okay, this one we can discuss straight away. Okay, if it's something else, like, okay, I think I need time for this one to really think about it before we talk again. Okay, then he gives me some time and we talk about it. But while he gives me some time, he's also like a physical touch person, so I may still hold his hand, even though I know we're like in argument, conflict mode, but I will still provide the reassurance like, hey, no, our marriage is good, I love you, we're just arguing about this thing, which is real, I am pissed off, and so are you, but we're good, don't worry, this is not like divorce tomorrow punya issue ke apa. So I still provide that reassurance, holding his hand and stuff like that while we're still in that sort of argument mode for a few hours or a day or whatever. So that, again, knowing yourself and how do you act in conflict now. Don't just wait for marriage. Like, how are you with your siblings? How are you with your friends? How are you with your parents? Your committee, panitia? That gives you signs of what you are like. And then I mentioned we do the multicultural, multi-faith marriage. That's important. Roles and rules of household. That's going to be usually like a lot of questions around what's the wife responsible for, husband responsible for, what about now, is it the same as before, zaman udah berubah, what if one person earns more, earns less, who's spending on what about the kids, what about job, what about, okay, if I want to stop work because I'm now pregnant and giving birth, but then I want to work later, what if your mom gets sick and needs a lot of money for chemotherapy back home, all these questions, which again, you will not have the answer to upfront, but it's important to start reflecting on the values under it and reflecting on your own principles and what you think might be, okay, this is a red flag, or this is a green flag for me. Like, I need somebody who understands. My parents are in Malaysia. If something happens to my mom, I'm going to go. I'm not going to go forever, but you can't tell me I can't go. So there's some conversations that need to be important to have those up front in some way, and just for you to be aware and have those conversations. And then one of my favorite modules is Module 7, which is about health, well-being, sexual intimacy, and understanding that intimacy is not just about sexual intimacy, but there's financial intimacy. There is, here I'll show the sample. Let me go back to, this is one of the things that if we had more time today, we can actually think about these questions. And you're getting a sneak preview, you can reflect on some of those as well. Like, what's in your cultural backpack? Like, each of us has, in a way, a backpack that you're coming into this relationship with, whether it's your like emotional, mental stuff, whether it's your family, punya culture, religious practice background. You can say, but we're the same culture, we're the same agama, we're the same bangsa. But no, culture is very individual. You can be two Indonesian married to another Indonesian from the same hometown who live nearby, but your personal, individual culture and values is going to be different from that person. So to keep that in mind, it's not just about, I'm marrying someone from a different race. Someone from a different race, in a way, might actually have more similar values to you personally if your values are aligned. And it's not a bad thing. It's just things to be aware of. What's in your backpack that you're bringing into this relationship? What's in your partner's backpack that he's bringing or she's bringing into the relationship? Again, what are things that are non-negotiable? What are things that, I can learn from your personal culture? Because that, I never realized that it could be done that way, and that sounds pretty cool too. And vice versa. A lot of people come in not even realizing, oh yeah, like my family, we always did it this way, so I assume it has to be that way. But it doesn't. It can be different, and another family can be happily doing it their way. It's just about understanding what might be some of the boundaries around that. Especially when it comes to religion and spirituality punya values. Often those doesn't really come up as big stress points early in the marriage, but it could be later in the marriage when you're like in your 40s and then suddenly like one person's like, oh, nggak pernah solat, suddenly now you like become so religious and whatever, and then your spouse is like, okay, we're all changing now and you expect the kids to do this and do that, but you never led solat in the house before, now you're forcing the kids. Everybody has to come, everybody has to pray together. But you can't do that overnight. Now you're like 40, the kids are 15, 12, 18, whatever. You can't just expect that change overnight because you've had time to change and grow, and you're like a bit of a different person now every day. And so I see a lot of marriages later on in life that start having kind of tension around topics like that, where, because we're both growing and changing in the relationship. You might not be exactly who you were when you were 18, 19, 25 when you first got married. And that's okay. It's just about being aligned, inshallah. And then realizing things, I'm going to skip this one, short of time. So I was mentioning about the sexual intimacy and just intimacy in general. It's not, what happens in the bedroom is one thing, but what happens in the bedroom is very, very influenced by what's happening in the other parts of your life. So if you are not having a fulfilling relationship outside the bedroom, most likely you will not have a fulfilling relationship inside the bedroom. But what does that look like? So we talk a lot more in detail about what are the forms of physical intimacy that's not just like sexual intimacy. There are other forms of physical intimacy. What about spiritual intimacy? Is it important to you to pray Fajr together? For one partner, it might not be like, never mind, like you pray when you wake up, I pray when I wake up, no big deal. Another person is like crying every morning because why doesn't she wake up with me when I wake up? Like I really want to pray Fajr together. So to you, that's spiritual intimacy that's important to you. And then what about emotional intimacy and affirming each other? Intellectual intimacy, are you able to share ideas together? Is that important to you? For some people, maybe not. They're like, well, I get that from work, or I get that from my halakha buddies or whatever, or my hobby club. I don't need like to have big, heavy intellectual conversations with my partner. But for some people, that is important. I want to be able to go to classes together with my partner. I want that we share and read books together and learn together and grow together. What about experiential intimacy? Are you able to grow and experience and do things together? Is it important for you that you travel together? I know some couples, they have such one of the couple I was counseling, they have such different traveling styles, and they've decided themselves, you travel with your friends, bro, I travel with my friends, only once a year we'll travel together, because when we travel together, we fight. But other times we're fine, but our traveling, so I'm like, okay, interesting. So, but to them, that worked for them, because they're like, I really like to travel, but I travel my way, you like to travel and just stay in hotels, and you don't like to do things outdoors. But they compromise, like one travel a year, they travel together. Okay, fine. And then other couples may do it a different way. Under like experiential intimacy, for example, my husband and I, we started horse riding together. So we take a horse riding lessons, we go together like once or twice a month. And so it's something that we're learning, something physical, something outside, something that we are learning together and that we can enjoy together. So finding ways to build your intimacy in that way. Financially, it's a big issue. Issues with how you are raised and how money is talked about in your family, and how you feel about money and how you feel about questions around money. It's not so much how much money is in your bank. That's less of an issue than what I talked about earlier. And also realizing in different families it can be very different.
and that's okay. In some families, it's just normal that we have an Excel spreadsheet that the husband and wife have been updating together, so everybody sees what everybody's spending, and that's like a non-issue. With some other couples, it's like, why do you want to see everything that I spend on? Like, why does it have to be like on Excel spreadsheet? Why do we have to do it together? Like, I'll just tell you, like, roughly, that's enough. Don't you trust me? See? So it becomes like a deeper issue that could be a bigger issue, whereas the other person is saying, oh, I thought this was just normal, like my family does this, my parents do this, and that's just how we budget as a family. It's not a trust issue, like it's just practical, logical, makes sense, and it's easy. So now it's, we're having a bit more conversation of what do you value more or less, and how to put that into practice. And again, that's going to look different for each relationship. Some people are fine saying, okay, you have a credit card, I have a credit card, we have a joint account, whatever. Some people are like, nope, my money here, your money here, we have a money together, separate account, fine. So each relationship, each couple needs to kind of figure that out. And then social intimacy in the sense of, do we get along with each other's families socially? Do we get along with each other's friends? Are we able to do things together socially in our masjid? Or it's like, I really don't like your masjid people. I only like my masjid people. So you go to your thing over there, I'll go to my thing over here, and we socialize with completely different people. Or are you able to socialize and have some joint relationships that you feel socially there's trust and intimacy in that as well? And then we go into more detail on like actually the sexual intimacy topic. We talk about the rulings and the adab in Islam when it comes to sexual intimacy, what Rasulullah SAW taught us. Well, Aisha radiallahu anhu, a lot of the hadith that are about sexual intimacy, about ghusl, about like showering and preparing for sexual intimacy and all of that comes from Aisha radiallahu anha. And then we talk about sexual health, reproduction, and things like that as well, medically, mentally. Concerns that surface like the first night of marriage, the first week of marriage, the first few months of marriage. What are the common sexual concerns that might surface that people don't really talk about? So in our course, we really spend time, like I said, on like the intercultural, interreligious stuff. We spend time on the finances stuff. We spend time also on this topic, inshallah. Okay, we finished 12:30 or 12:20? 12:20. Okay. All right. I think we should just go to the Q&A now. Some fun books on marriage that I'll share the slides, and then you guys can send it out to everyone, right? So you don't have to worry about taking notes. But these are some of the books that I recommend for premarital topics. I think if you're just going to get one, I would say get Before the Nikah, that top left one on Before the Nikah. Some of them you can find online, PDF and stuff. I'm in the process of writing one. Also, doakan, inshallah. Then next year maybe can share that one. These are books that are more about in the time of marriage. So the earlier one was more like the premarital kind of guidance. These are during the marriage and parenting and stuff like that. This is also books specifically that are focusing more on intimacy and sexual health. And there's not many, especially those with Islamic foundations. So these are some of the ones. I recommend the pink one, Sex, Soul and Islam. Actually, that's written by friends of mine. They're husband and wife from Singapore. They are now retired. They were professor, they were marriage counselors, they were professor teaching counseling and sociology. So they have a lot of experience counseling family members, counseling marriages and families. And actually it's a well-written book. That's a good summary. All right, let's go to the Q&A. Before the Q&A, does this QR code work? This is the website for my program that I teach, the marriage course. The next one will be in March or April. Let me know if the link works. Somebody? Yes, okay. So the Respect Islamic Graduate School is where I'm the director of the family school. We also have a master's in Islamic studies, side note. So if some of you are interested in doing masters in Islamic studies, Respect Islamic Graduate School is up there with Zaituna or AIC in Chicago and Hartford Seminary and all that. It's one of the newer Islamic graduate schools that's up and coming, and we're in the process of getting accreditation. So that's for the Masters in Islamic Studies. The marriage courses are in the family school. That's not like part of the Masters. That's just part of like a community education program that we have. So stay in touch. We'll try to run it 3 times a year. So you can always reach out to me personally or just check on the website and register for the next one. Okay, let's go to the FAQ page and see. Anybody has handwritten questions? You can pass it up, or else we're going to go to the... See if anybody wrote questions up here. Let me sort. Oh, why is it not there? I'm trying to get the questions on the screen. It's still on the PowerPoint. Anybody know why it won't go to the other thing? It's still on the PowerPoint, even though I'm on this page. Okay, maybe because
it's on your website.
well, this is working. Allahu Akbar.
Yeah, it's duplicate. I don't think it'll do an extension.
All right, we have, how would you suggest finding a spouse or candidate in graduate school? And should we, that has the most votes. Okay, let's go with, let me go with most recent, and then we'll see the votes also. 16, okay. How would you suggest about finding a spouse in graduate school? Should we involve chaplaincy, school, Muslim? Okay, it depends on your school. Some of the bigger schools, and they have active Muslim chaplains, that might be something that they are doing. So do ask and find out. Like I know at Rutgers University, like I said, one of the faculty in our marriage course, can you pass this around? Sorry, I have, before, I know some people are leaving, I have the hard copy of the flyers if anybody is interested. If you don't want it, you just have the online version, that's fine. If you want a hard copy, you're welcome to have it. So ask your chaplain. Yes, you can ask your chaplain for sure. You can ask the MSA. You can help organize it for the MSA also. Some people use online Muslim apps. There's Moz, there's Salam, there's all kinds of stuff. I am not against that. I just say use it with caution and common sense. There are people out there who are not sharing their whole truth. I mean, nobody really is. You're just getting a short snapshot. But to me, if you are meeting people on those apps, try to quickly meet them in person. Don't waste your time like berbulan-bulan, months and months, you're chatting and chatting and chatting and chatting, and you don't actually meet this person in person. You don't actually know if they're real. You don't actually know if you have any chemistry in person. You don't even, it might be a bot these days, AI bot. So if you do, anybody have an AI boyfriend, girlfriend? No? Okay. Yeah. Oh, did you put out your hand? No. Okay. No, for real, yo. I think in Japan recently, there was a lady who just married her AI boyfriend. Yeah, it was kind of sad. Like, she put him on the laptop and whatever, but it's an AI thing. She said, like, humans are not, it's just too stressful. I mean, she has a point, but... So, yes, talk to your chaplains if they have recommendations, great, because they may have also people have approached them, right, and said like, hey, you know, I'm also trying to meet somebody, so maybe they can give you a personal introduction. It's okay to try those apps. Like I said, try to find some of the Muslim apps. Be a bit discerning. Try to quickly meet the people in person and not do that alone. Make sure you have other people involved in your filtering process, because sometimes you're not really, you know, there fully. It's good to always have people involved and be a part of your process. Don't hide it from your good friends and stuff like that. There are some online Muslim matchmaking courses that also introduce people to each other. You can look for things like that. And then I know it's a bit hard, and at the same time, always focus on Allah as the provider of the spouse. It's no matter what you do, if it's not your qadar yet, it's just not your qadar yet. Or if it is, and then, but that is your qadar. Your qadar is that it's not happening yet. Or your qadar is that you get married, you're happy for a couple of years, you go through a divorce, whatever. Okay, that's your qadar. I don't like it when people say, even to me, like, oh, you were divorced, so that wasn't meant to be. I said, no, what do you mean it's not meant to be? It happened. It already beed already. So it's not meant to be. Yeah, it meant to be, and I'm meant to learn something from it and grow from it and be a better person from it and have wonderful ex-stepchildren from it and have wonderful ex-father-in-law that's still in touch with me. Yeah, okay, that's okay. And then next, life goes on. So be clear with your understanding of qadr. Be clear with understanding of qadr. Don't let, like, sometimes people can be very, like, confusing you and, oh, you're not trying enough, or you're trying the wrong way. Yeah, okay, yes, we are putting effort. And don't make people feel bad, yo. Aisha radiallahu anha never had kids. That's one of the things our community is always huge about. Like, oh, dah nikah, okay, bila nak baby. Dah baby number 1, oh, bila nak baby number 2. Dah baby number 2, oh, so what? It's not your life. You don't know what people are going through. Don't ask people things that you have no idea what they're going through. People could be really struggling trying to have children, and simply you're just saying things like, oh yeah, these young people, they want to have kids because they want a lot of money lah apa. Not knowing the person has gone through 4 miscarriages. Astaghfirullah. Why are we causing harm? So, okay, that's part of like addressing the finding a spouse, and then also different ways. And watching our judgment of others, because sometimes also people try very hard, and it's not their time. And they're like, oh, but you're beautiful and you're smart and you come from a good family. Takkan gak ada orang? Yeah, okay. You introduce to me then. That was my answer to a lot of relatives who would ask questions like that. I'm like, okay, you introduce to me. I'll meet whoever you introduce, no problem. Nggak tahu. See, I mean, I'm trying. Just like, what am I supposed to say? So then they kind of keep quiet from asking too much, right? Is there such a thing as being too picky when it comes to looking for a spouse? Depends your definition of picky. Like I said, be clear on what the core values are. It doesn't matter you like matcha, I don't like matcha, whatever. I like matcha. If you want to let me know, we can go for matcha too. The matcha. Very good. Looks very nice. Those are not what I mean by core values, okay? So, like, attend my course, that will help, because we talk a lot also about your core values when it comes to religion and spirituality. Is it okay to you if your partner right now prays 1 time a day? Or is deep down actually it kind of bothers you, even though you think, okay, I'm not that good a Muslim, but I kind of want a husband who prays 5 times a day at the basic right now. And not because I'm judging them, is that cukup praying, not praying. It's not from a judgment thing. It's a knowing yourself thing. Because then you know, if he doesn't change that, you cannot expect people to change. If you're okay with that, khalas, be okay with it. And inshallah, you guys improve and change together. But if you're not okay with it, be clear about that, because some things are not going to change automatically. You cannot say, tak apalah, nanti after he marries me, I'll wake him up for Fajr and he'll wake up and he'll pray. Sekarang he doesn't wake up, you makan hati, and then you've kind of compromised some things that actually to you, that should have been a red flag thing for you. Maybe to somebody else, it's fine, no problem. Then, okay, then they're able to work together, whatever, that's fine. So be clear what you think you need, and what's important to you, and then talk about it with each other. So that might not be too picky. So coming back to the picky thing, so some people might say, that's too, you're being so picky about that. Yang nggak apa-apa sih, nanti we can grow together. Yeah, okay, in some things, I'm okay, we can grow together. In some things, I think it's important. He doesn't go to visit his mother. That's important to me, taking care of parents. If I see that you're not taking care of your parents and you always make fun of your parents, and you're Mr. Cool, nice guy, and you're like, I will love you, I'll take care of you so much. Yeah, okay, but I don't really see you spending time with your parents. You're spending like every weekend with me. I know your parents are not too far away. You never go to visit them. Even though I'm happy you're spending, a lot of time on me, but I know my values matter. My core values value my family, and I know it's going to bother me you're not looking out for your parents. So I'm not going to continue that relationship. If that's okay, if that's who he is, that's his style. He can find a wife who's like so happy, he wants to spend all her time with her and her in-laws and her parents, and goodbye to his parents lah, tak apalah. Some marriages are like that and all parties are fine with it. So again, knowing, so that's not being picky if you know your values. And then with other things that you're easygoing, that's fine. We all have different things we prioritize. If my parents don't approve of someone I want to marry for reasons that are not religion related, mostly because of cultural bias, is this a valid reason? I want to go back to the process that I talked about earlier, kan? So the outcome, we're not sure. Is this person good for you, not good for you? Wallahu alam, we really won't know. But the process now, how much have you tried talking to them really deeply and openly? Is there somebody you trust who also knows the candidate and that they can come with you and talk to your parents also and understand, okay, underlying fearnya apa sih? Because I have done that before, and I have discovered some of these parents, their concern is, yang nggak tahu sih nanti she marries this white guy and then they go Christmas, Thanksgiving, nggak tahu makan apa di rumah dia. Itu pula dia punya concern kan? Pasal makan apa di rumah dia, okay. Okay, that's easily addressed. Just because you have fear integrating, your daughter or your son might not. And there's ways they can do that are very halal and very permissible, again, with open communication and all of that. So if those cultural concerns are something we can talk about and address, like, no, it's okay, we've talked to his family, they are also open, they understand that she's Muslim. In fact, they are already finding out where's the halal butcher in the town. And so some of those things bisa jadi compromise. Some, I don't know, maybe not. Some of us are just, I'm sorry, like really racist. Where for whatever reason, we have a fear or we have maybe we had a bad experience with a certain culture and it's just stuck in our mind, maybe from TV. Mati-mati, I know some folks like, nope, my daughter's not going to marry an African guy, or my son is not going to marry Puerto Rican girl, or whatever lah, I don't know what. So it's some of the things they're not able to cross and try to understand if there's underlying concerns that can be addressed. So if it reaches things like that, you have a decision to make too. Islamically, if you are a man, in some ways the nikah will be halal, you can continue and get married to whoever without your parents' approval. That's not syarat untuk halal nikah, it's not parents' approval. But parents' barakah and restu is important also, right? So you know your situation best. I also know people where literally the parents have mental health issues, the parents are abusive, the parents don't want their anak to marry anybody because I want to control them, I want them to live with me forever, and they're really like being unreasonable about it. So we have also advised some people, it's okay if you disobey your parents on this matter, you have tried, it is also your hak to get married, you're also now crossing into possible haram if you don't get married. So, but all of it can be done in conversation and needs to be assessed case by case. So don't do it alone. Try and get help and advice from people who especially know your parents or the candidate. How can I start the process if I don't have a candidate yet? Online dating, okay, we talked about that. Through family, friends, yes, all of the above. I don't have many Muslims my age where I work or go to school. Yeah, I'm okay. I mean, it's up to you, but I do, meeting people online is a valid option. Like I said, just be careful about it and have some common sense about it. Don't try to do it alone. Always try to include other people in your process. Maybe you say, does it have to be the wali? Does it have to be my father? Some opinions say, as long as you're not like, it's somebody trusted, so you might not have to include your father in every chat person that you meet. Even that's not going to happen, let's be real. But if you're going to meet the person in person, try to meet in public, try to bring some friends, get to know people in groups before, especially these days with who you meet online. And be careful with being loved bomb. Do you know the term love bomb? Yes? Okay, that's one kind of bomb that's less destructive, but can be very destructive in some ways. A lot of that does happen, and it's happened like to people of all ages, and it's just kind of scary. How do I mediate relationship to my family and my in-laws? How do we blend two different cultures? Depends on your family and your in-laws. I know families sometimes struggle in the sense of values-wise, it's hard for them to socialize with their in-laws deeply. So, okay, they are okay, like, you know, jumpa di lebaran, jumpa kondangan or something, or wedding or akikah, kind of, you know, periodically we have lunch or dinner together with a big family. But they're not going to, like, go golfing together or go, oh, let's plan a holiday to Vietnam and all my in-law and the other in-laws and everybody go together. Some families do that. And they're happy and want to do that. Some families are like, I can spend one day with my in-laws. Yeah, cukup lah, no need, you know. If you're talking about like the parents and the parents. So depends on the situation and what. But I would say try to facilitate that. The issue that I see more in America now with our generation and other generation, doesn't matter the age really, is that we think marriage is just about the husband and wife. Usually very individualistic. Yes, maybe it's not like back home back then in the sense where, oh, yeah, you can't marry somebody, their auntie, their uncle, everybody semua masuk, move into your house. Okay, it's not like that. But it shouldn't be just about you and this person either. Try to make sure you spend time investing in your relationship with your in-laws, both sides. It's also hurtful as a mother-in-law or father-in-law when you see, okay, like they go to the other side like every week for brunch. They go on holiday with, you know, her parents and her siblings and all that. Yeah, but they don't come to visit our side. We don't live that far away. I'm not asking to go on holiday with them, but you can, when you see and you feel, it will hurt usually. So jaga hati lah, you know, try to balance what you can, even if you don't really like going out with the other party or whatever. Try to be fair a little bit. And sometimes it's not possible. Mungkin your in-laws live far away, your parents live nearby, and you spend more time here, you spend less time there. But we do have this concept of trying to jaga hati, trying to be fair, and trying to make our loved ones happy to a certain degree, of course. Again, your boundary also, you do need to take care of the needs of your spouses. If there is conflict, to be able to handle each other's families independently. So like my husband, when my in-laws were living with us from Turkey for 6 months, if there starts to be like some issue between my mother-in-law, father-in-law, or me or whatever, my husband will step in, he will talk to his parents separately, he will talk to me. He plays that role well to make sure that I'm not feeling abused or hurt or upset too much or whatever, which didn't happen anyway because he was always like taking care of that early, if anything. I mean, when you live with somebody, it doesn't matter, your in-law, your own parents, your own spouse, there's going to be some like discomfort at some time, right? I'm just giving that as an example, but a larger example is like, you know, the man should make sure he respects his parents, takes care of his parents, and also be able to mediate when something happens, and vice versa. You take care as a woman, you take care of your parents. If they are causing drama or hurting your husband or whatever, you need to be able to help address that. Your partner will support you, and then you try to support each other in that process. That's how you can help kind of mediate. And sometimes with your brother and sister or your other in-laws, maybe if you get along and you can kind of strategize, if your family is like very drama and very whatever, you might need multiple prong strategies. But good luck. Yeah, we kind of talked about that. This is the older questions. I'm going to see any more recent ones. Oh, that's a good one. How do you navigate asking about past experience without exposing private sins? Should these conversations be avoided altogether? Oof. This is hard to know without like case by case. In general, what's happened in the past should not be a big concern for the future if you have seen some kind of a bit of track record of consistency of the present. If somebody like just last month was living with his girlfriend or her girlfriend, and then suddenly this month is like, okay, astaghfirullah, aku dah taubat, I'm ready to nikah, let's go meet somebody from back home, nikah terus ke apa ke. I will be a bit more careful about, well, if that's okay for you, fine, that's okay for you, fine. But if that's something that's important to you, then okay, let's see, maybe take a bit of time to see what is this person like now? Because they themselves also don't know, right? They just maybe made a big change in their life about how they practice something or how they believe relationships should be. Maybe in the past they said, yeah, I want to marry this person. I should live with them. How do I know if I'm going to be able to marry them and live with them if I don't live with them now before we get married? So to them, at the time, that was their logic, and that's what they did. Now they may have changed their logic, but they may need time to kind of be comfortable with that. How you ask. So to me, this is where it's helpful to join, for example, a program. So like when we do our class, our course, it's online, but it's live, right? So people can ask and we give feedback and all of that. And we touch about a lot of these topics in a way so that in between the weekends or whenever, the couples can follow up and have conversation with each other. Because, hey, you know, like in the class, we talked about how, you know, navigating past relationships and what's important to us. Because even questions like, for some people, they have a group of friends, for example, they were engaged to one of the guys or the girls in the group of friends, nggak jadi, ya okay, putus, tunang, fine, yeah, you find somebody else, he finds somebody else, but you're still friends with a group of friends, and you still meet this person. So for some people, that's a non-issue. For some people, they're like, I don't want you to meet that guy. I don't want you to meet that girl. Jadi, but then you're like, we're not together. He's married, she's married, I'm married to you. And we always meet with friends because, yeah, we are part of that group of friends who hung out in Mu'tamar or who were in the same masjid or in the same college. So why can I not hang out with this group anymore? Because of my ex is there. So these issues can surface when it comes to talking about what's important about knowing about the past. So what are some maybe like key concerns that you have about knowing the past, and why are you asking? So be clear about that. So if it doesn't, it's different if somebody's like, I want to know every relationship you've been in. Have you ever touched a girl's hand? Have you ever kissed her? How many times have you kissed a girl? Have you ever had secret online boyfriend, girlfriend? I want to know all of that. Okay, hello. The way you're asking, number one, is off. The details of what you're asking is off. We are just like getting to know each other like last week. Why the heck am I exposing all of this to you anyway? So again, the way it's being asked, what the conversation is, if you're openly having conversations and both parties are sharing information, again, with protecting people's identities, if need be, then that should be fine. I think that's a bit of a healthier way. But the details of like, you know, some people may be important. Okay, I've never slept with anyone sexually. I am, you know, okay, you may be comfortable saying that openly and be fine with it. Okay, then you can share that information. The other person may share the information. The other person may say, well, 20 years ago when I was in college, I led a bit of a different life. You know, in my 30s, I became like a stronger Muslim and I have stopped, you know, having girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. So, you know, when I was in college, I did have partners and sexually and all of that. But, you know, it's been 10 years and alhamdulillah, I'm trying my best and I don't do that anymore. But, you know, I am also looking to get married. So, lain kan. So, okay, you know that, fine. And you are able to accept that, fine. So how you have that conversation and the way it's asked and to be sharing with the good intention, inshallah, should be fine. And what you find out should not carry forward. I had this issue when people felt they got to know each other, they shared some of this information, and then got jadi. And then that person is like, oh, I can't go to that gathering because he's there and he knows and I told him, or she knows and I told her. Okay, then you also need to work on your ability to be honest about your truths, and also comfortable with some level of, well, we live, unfortunately or fortunately, in sometimes a small community. And some people will hear things, and you shouldn't spread it. Like, you should now not unnecessarily tell other people, like, hey, you know that brother, he told me. Tak payahlah. Like, if it surfaces, if it comes out, that person is now seeing that brother, the parents who need to get involved, they let them find out themselves. You don't have to go and share whatever you found out and exposing it that way. Unless, again, it can be something serious, of course, then we should share with due respect. What if you have an STI? How do you go about that discussion? Depends the kind of STI that you have. This is sexually transmitted infection. So yeah, sexually transmitted infection or disease. Again, depends what it is. If it's something that is kind of resolvable, you're on medication, it's not likely to recur, it's not really transferable, you should still probably talk about it. To me, like, the more honesty is better with some of these conversations. Thank you for this question. I'm also going to include it in my sexual intimacy part of my course, because we talk about contraception, we talk about previous partners and things like that, but I didn't actually talk about, like, navigating like an STI conversation. So in some places, I think even in US, in some states, you have to take an HIV test before you can get a marriage license in some places, not all. So there's things like that where you can also be part of the conversation, like, I want to know your health, and you offer first, I'm willing to, maybe can we do this medical checkup together, for us, both of us, to have this medical checkup together, to learn about each other physically before we confirm. That's fine. And if the other party gets defensive about it, starts arguing about it, okay, maybe that's your yellow flag to begin with already, that you're like, okay, we have one serious topic and now it's become like a big fight. Is this somebody I want to have many other serious conversation with, because you're going to get into more like fights? Or are you able to navigate those conflict and difficult conversations up front before having to do it in marriage? Unfortunately, if you don't know about it and you still go into that marriage, again, case by case, how serious of an infection is it? Is it something that it can be medicable and both parties, it's not like transferable, you can carry it, you can have it, but it's not causing you additional physical illnesses, and you're okay with it, then alhamdulillah, that's your qadar. So need to find out a bit more case by case. Are we time, right? All right, let me just see if there's a few that we can just wrap up as one theme. Just a couple more questions about culture and families and in-laws. Yeah, join my program. Part of the hereditary issues and medical issues can have conversation early up front. There's many lists online. You can just Google like the 100 questions to talk about before getting married. And there's even like Muslim scholars who've got suggested 100 questions, 200 questions. A lot of those questions already cover a lot of these things. So if you have the conversation like kind of openly, yeah, okay, I answer, you answer, no judgment. Although we are kind of assessing each other, not judging, but assessing. And it makes it a bit easier to have those conversations. And if you really cannot, if the person is really getting defensive about, why are you asking me these things, no, don't you trust me? If anybody ever says and tries to emotionally blackmail you, why are you asking me these things, don't you trust me? To me, that's yellow, borderline, red flag. Because why not? Hello, I'm making the biggest decision of my life. Why can't we even talk about like a general topic? Because if you're going to spend the rest of your life together, there's going to be lots more questions that you have to ask each other. Is every question going to be faced with, why are you asking me, don't you trust me? Habis lah. So be clear with your emotions. Don't get too emotionally involved so that you miss these yellow flags and you suddenly like, oh yeah lah, I should trust them lah, I shouldn't ask all these questions. That means the emotions have now overcrossed a bit too much. You're already spending too much time together. You're not able to kind of step back and look at the big picture a little bit. Okay, I have to finish. I am still available tonight. I am leaving tomorrow. Unfortunately, I'm not able to stay for the whole Mu'tamar this time. I'm going to another retreat to speak also. But you feel free to reach out to me. You have that flyer and then my email. You have my Instagram, I think most of you, chaplains. My Instagram is Sakinah says at Instagram. My email, I'm just going to type it up here, is chaplainsakinah@gmail.com. Feel free to reach out, or you want to ask about the course, or you want me to talk to your parents, or whatever I can help, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.
All right, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan to Chaplain Sakinah for such a thoughtful and grounding session. And thank you all for being here. Thank you for your presence. We hope you leave the session feeling grounded, reassured, and encouraged, inshallah. So let's go ahead and close with a short dua. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر جزاكم الله خيرا everyone. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Might want me to run to your next session. Chaplain, this is for you.
Oh, Markway.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Extras? Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sophia, I miss you.